Did you know that 1 in 4 adults will suffer from anxiety and that 1 in 8 children, every 1 in 8 children, will deal with the challenges of anxiety and fears? Hi, this is Ron Huxley with theronhuxley.com, and I want to talk to you a little bit about how you can chop anxiety out of your life. Anxiety is very common, but it's also quite pervasive in American society. Everyone worries to some degree. Some of us worry about our finances. We can worry about our relationships. The average worrier spends about 50 minutes a day worrying about normal sort of activities in our life. The anxious person, however, worries about 300 or more minutes every day. That can have a severe impact on your relationships, your self-esteem, and even impact your health. Anxiety, by definition, is a feeling of unease. And if we're not careful and we don't deal with anxiety, that unease will soon become dis-ease. People with chronic anxiety will complain of back pain, stomach aches, headaches, migraines, ulcers, high blood pressure, heart palpitation, and so much more. Those are just a few of the things that occur to us physically, as well as emotionally and mentally. The good news is that anxiety is treatable. And I want to teach you a simple technique to how to deal with that. This is great for children as well as for adults. I had a client who was suffering from severe social anxiety. And she was no longer able to go to school. She was withdrawing from her friends. She was even get to the point of being almost suicidal. And every week we go over the same problems over and over again. I was feeling helpless. She was feeling helpless. Nothing seemed to be able to work. Then one day I was watching a YouTube video and I saw this technique called the karate chop technique. And I thought, this is ridiculous. This can't be helpful. And then next week I was in session with this same person and we were going over the same problems again and again. And I witnessed myself teaching this karate chop technique that I thought was ridiculous. Well, she went home, she tried it, she came back and said that it actually worked. I was more surprised than she was that it actually did help. What this technique is a acupressure technique used in a therapeutic treatment for anxiety called emotional freedom technique, or EFT. Now, EFT accesses various acupressure points on the body to send signals to the brain to calm down. We have a vagus nerve, and this vagus nerve goes in through our brainstem to our face, to our heart, our lungs, to our internal organs, goes throughout our body, and at certain points along our body, we're able to make contact or pressure, and it sends signals through this vagus nerve that basically tells us to chill out. And the acupressure point that we're going to focus on today is right here on the fat part of the hand, the bottom part of it. What I'd like you to do is just put your hands together like you are reading a book, and then make kind of an X motion as you're chopping against the bottom fleshy part of the hand. As you're doing this, EFT says to make a very specific affirmation regarding the thing that you are anxious about. So you would say, even though I feel anxious or fearful, I am deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I am anxious, I deeply and completely accept myself. Now you want to be as specific as possible. So if you have a fear of public speaking, then you would want to be able to say, even though I fear public speaking, I deeply and completely accept myself. If you have a phobia of spiders, even though I'm afraid of the spider, I deeply and completely accept myself. Everyone worries about money. Even though I'm worried about making my car payment, I deeply and completely accept myself. So you see, it seems like a very simple technique. I was working with this technique with another friend of mine who had just started a new job. And he was feeling very stressed. He was having headaches from the stress. He was not sleeping at night. And so I taught him the technique with a very simple affirmation of, even though this job is stressful, I deeply and completely accept myself. He did that several times and he immediately felt calmer. That night he had a perfect night's sleep. Now, of course, I'm teaching everyone how to use this EFT karate chop technique. Because why not? If 1 in 4 adults and 1 in 8 children are experiencing this problem, that's a lot of people. And people need to understand how this works. And it seems to work very quickly for all kinds of issues with anxiety, health issues. So try this with me. Think about a situation that recently made you a little worried or a little stressed out, and then add it to the phrase as you're doing the karate chop, even though, and then add the worried thought or the stressful thought, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though, add your worried or stressful thought, I deeply and completely accept myself. You can do this several times. Just keep doing it until you feel like you are starting to feel calmer and that you are mastering anxiety instead of anxiety mastering you. There are other pressure points that you can use in the body, but this seems to be one of the simplest ones that people can do. And you can do it kind of more overtly if like you're at school and do it under your desk or in your cubicle at work or as you're going along your day. This might be a little easier tapping sort of motion to use versus the chop. So I hope you've learned something useful about how to do the EFT acupressure karate chop while using the simple phrase of even though and I deeply and completely love myself. And now, even though I have to go, I deeply and completely appreciate your attention. Thanks very much.